Michel Wijkstra from Utrecht University, and I will be presenting How to Tame a Toxic Player, systematic literature review on intervention systems for toxic behaviors in online video games. I'll be presenting on behalf of myself and my co-authors, Katja, Regan Mandryk, Remco Veltkamp, and Julian Frommel. Through this systematic review, we aim to gain a concrete overview of the current state of literature on intervention methods for toxic behaviors in online video games. To start off, we should introduce the concept of toxicity. Toxicity is an umbrella term used to describe a collection of negative behaviors. It is very difficult to precisely define what toxicity is, as the context of the behaviors and even the offline environment of the community members play a large role in its perception. We consider a behavior to be toxic if it violates the rules and the social norms that apply in the game and the community it occurs in. Once these behaviors become problematic, we start to look for a solution. A common approach to deal with these behaviors are intervention systems. Intervention systems are an important part of combating harm, for example, by detecting, sanctioning, and in some cases, preventing toxicity. We use a broad definition for intervention systems in our study, including concrete tools, AI models like detection of toxic chat messages, other algorithms, design approaches, human-in-loop systems like manual moderation, and unintended creative use of existing tools by players, such as gender masking through character customization. The problem that we see in this space is that when designing intervention systems to fight toxicity, designers, researchers, and policymakers have little guidance about which approaches to implement in a game, how to assess the effectiveness of these interventions, or which direction of intervention development holds the most promise. To address this problem, we wanted to survey what interventions currently exist in literature. We defined 5 research questions. First, we asked which types of toxic behaviors interventions are currently aiming to combat, what sites researchers are using to combat toxicity, what methods intervention systems are using, whether intervention systems act before or after harm occurs, and how researchers are evaluating their intervention systems. Due to time constraints, I will only share insights from the first 3 research questions in this presentation. We conducted a systematic literature review and found 1,176 papers, from which we extracted 36 intervention systems. We performed initial coding during the data collection and created latent codes in a second iteration. Lastly, in an iterative process with interactive sessions, we created our final codings using thematic analyses. Our search strategy and selection criteria are described in great detail in our paper. Through our study, we found various interesting aspects of the design space of intervention systems. We identified 2 main types of toxic behaviors that intervention systems try to address: general toxic behavior and targeted attacks. General toxic behaviors are acts which are not targeted at a specific person. These acts are sometimes accepted and normalized within gaming communities. We identified 3 subteams for general toxic behaviors: untargeted but undesired behavior through communication channels, undesired behavior through non-communication channels, such as gameplay actions, and lastly, we found intervention systems that do not specify or are not generally restricted to a specific type of toxicity. For targeted behavior, we identified behaviors that repeatedly demean, humiliate, or intimidate other players, generally known as harassment. Further, we identified toxic behavior that is directly aimed at a person's identity. For our second question, we identified the sites intervention systems act through. To briefly summarize this concept, you could view this as the angle the intervention system uses to reach its goal. We identified 2 such sites: systems that act through the player and systems that act through the platform. For players, we identified intervention systems that reduce exposure, intervention systems that create awareness amongst players, and intervention systems that repair the player's mood. From the platform side, we identified intervention systems that aid human moderators, intervention systems that act on toxic content in the chat channel, the voice channel, and non-communication channels. And lastly, we identified intervention systems that influence toxic content from players directly, for example, by preventing profanity in usernames. Lastly, for our third question, we identified how intervention systems achieve their goal of fighting toxic behavior. Here, we identified 5 themes. First, We found that a significant majority of intervention systems stick to detecting toxic behaviors in the different communication channels. Further, we found systems that empower players by providing tools to combat the effects of toxicity themselves. Systems that provide support to the player after being exposed to toxicity. Systems that create awareness of what is and what is not allowed or acceptable within a certain community. And lastly, we found systems that apply sanctions to players, often consisting of various types of exclusion. So, what can we take away from these findings? We provide an overview of the design space of intervention systems, including their aim, where they act, and how they are evaluated. By doing this, we identify weaknesses in the landscape of intervention research, such as a lack of voice channel moderation systems and few real-world evaluations. This knowledge is valuable for game makers, moderators, and researchers in game toxicity and moderation. Generally, this is just a small part of our results, and we invite everyone to read our paper and explore the rest of our findings. I'd like to end this presentation with a call to action. We found that detecting toxicity is popular research. We do need follow-up action to actually make a difference. Through this work, we provide guidance to create such systems, and we hope to inspire researchers and developers to participate actively in fighting toxicity. I'd like to thank you for your attention, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions.